So as you all remember, it's been over 6 years since Jeffrey Epstein's death, and yet the call for justice hasn't faded. Today, hundreds of women continue to rise together, demanding accountability and shedding light on one of the darkest chapters of abuse in modern history. Before we dive in, if you value truth and justice, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell icon so you never miss updates on stories that matter. Our story begins on a clear fall day on the east side of the U.S. Capitol, where women who had once been silenced took the microphone to reclaim their voices. Lisa Phillips was one of those women. Standing among friends and allies, she listened as survivor after survivor shared their stories of being groomed as teenagers, coerced into what they were told were harmless favors, but were actually part of a much darker scheme. Phillips looked at her phone, steadied herself, and stepped up to the podium. "I stand here today for every woman who has been silenced, exploited, and dismissed," she said. "We are not asking for pity. We are here demanding accountability, and I'm demanding justice." In that moment, Phillips set aside her prepared speech. Instead, she chose to speak from the heart, reclaiming her power for herself, for the women who spoke before her, and for those who would come after. Many of the women had spent years finding their voices, often in private, and this public gathering marked the first time they came together as a unified force against Epstein and the abuse they endured. Phillips and the others formed what is now known as the Survivor Sisters, a collective of women dedicated to exposing the truth and ensuring that justice is served. One of their first public actions was to announce the creation of a confidential list of individuals they allege were involved in Epstein's operations. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know, Phillips explained. The drive behind the Survivor Sisters movement is partly inspired by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who bravely spoke out against Epstein, his associate Ghislaine Maxwell, and even prominent figures linked to the trafficking network. Roberts Giuffre's courage in sharing her story has inspired countless survivors to step forward, forming a sisterhood that spans across states and even countries. Tragically, Giuffre passed away by suicide in April, months before the release of her book detailing her experiences. Yet, her legacy lives on through the activism of the Survivor Sisters. These women are standing up not only for themselves, but for all the survivors who have been silenced for years, said Brad Edwards, Giuffre's attorney, during a recent gathering. Virginia Roberts Giuffre is an American hero. Without her courage, these voices might never have been heard. The journey of these women has been long and complex. Lisa Phillips, now an advocate for women's rights in the entertainment industry, recalls her early experiences in New York City during the early 2000s. As a model, she witnessed firsthand the way Epstein and others operated under the guise of mentorship and opportunity. For many years, she and her peers struggled to define what had happened to them, to find the words to describe their experiences, and to determine how to act. "We were in denial, and we didn't really talk about it so much 20 years ago, Phillips explained. "We didn't really know how to define it or talk about it or what to do about it." The public's awareness of Epstein's crimes increased dramatically after his death in 2019. Federal prosecutors had charged him with sex trafficking in July, and within a month he was found dead in his jail cell. While his death ended the criminal proceedings against him, it also opened a window of opportunity for survivors to bring claims that were otherwise barred by the statute of limitations. Many survivors filed claims during this period, ensuring their voices were part of the legal record. For survivors like Phillips, the act of speaking out became a transformative experience. "There's something that happens when your abuser dies," she said. "You're free." Freed from fear, they began to tell their stories publicly, reclaiming power that had been stripped from them for so long. Beyond the courtroom, the Survivor Sisters formed bonds of support that transcended distance. Phillips, Marike Chartuni, Rachel Benavides, and many others shared their experiences and offered mutual encouragement. They talked openly about the challenges of facing public scrutiny, the reactions of family members, and the emotional toll of revisiting traumatic events. These connections allowed them to heal, while also strengthening their collective voice. Chartuni recalls meeting Roberts Giuffre after a court hearing. "She had this amazing authenticity about her," Chartuni said. "She was just so herself and so approachable." Likewise, Benavidez remembers Robert's Jouffre's humor and her dedication to helping others. She wanted to have a good time, but she brought a lot of humor to the table, Benavidez said. And at the same time, she taught us how to stand up for ourselves. The Survivor Sisters' activism extends beyond sharing personal stories. They are pushing for legislative change, advocating for transparency, and demanding the release of documents related to Epstein's network. The proposed Epstein Files Transparency Act would require the Department of Justice to make public all materials concerning Epstein and his associates, but the bill has faced delays in Congress. Nevertheless, the persistence of the Survivor Sisters ensures that public attention remains focused on the need for accountability. As the women gather on Capitol Hill, recounting their experiences, one can sense the depth of courage it takes to confront trauma publicly. Marina Lacerda, for example, spoke for the first time about her inclusion in Epstein's 2019 federal indictment. Supported by other survivors, she found the strength to step forward and reclaim her voice. Phillips also described the mental image she had of unnamed accomplices listening to the news conference from afar. "I wanted to send a message to them," she said. "In the 5 minutes before I spoke, I changed my mind, and I was like, you know what? I'm taking my power back." The narrative of the Survivor Sisters demonstrates a powerful lesson. Solidarity and courage can amplify individual voices into a chorus demanding justice. Their stories illustrate not only the horrors they endured, but also the transformative power of community, advocacy, and the pursuit of truth. Even years after Epstein's death, the survivors continue to organize, advocate, and educate. They meet, strategize, and create networks of support that span across the country. They mentor new survivors, help guide them through the process of coming forward, and ensure that no one feels alone in their journey. Legally, socially, and culturally, their movement highlights the importance of accountability. It underscores the long-lasting impact of abuse, the systemic challenges in bringing powerful individuals to justice, and the resilience of those who refuse to remain silent. Their advocacy is reshaping conversations about consent, exploitation, and responsibility, leaving a lasting mark on public consciousness. In conclusion, the story of the Survivor Sisters is one of courage, resilience, and empowerment. These women, bound together by shared experiences and guided by the legacy of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, are demanding justice not just for themselves, but for future generations. Their voices remind us that truth and accountability are essential, and that no one should ever be silenced when seeking justice. If you believe in standing up for what is right and in protecting those who cannot yet defend themselves, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for notifications. Together, we can honor these survivors, share their stories, and keep the conversation alive.